On the alluvial plain that borders the southern coast of Cape Ann, there are two shipwrecks that act like bookends. They define a stretch of Salem Sound which is a scuba diver's paradise. The ocean bottom is a sandy desert. Freedom Diving was our base of operations on Cape Ann. We need air to do what we do, and in addition to that, we need cameras that will stay dry and camera people who don't mind getting wet. In-water movie makers are multifaceted, multitasking individuals who can scuba dive without thinking about it. The Chelsea was a coastal oil tanker that ran aground off Rockport in 1957. It tried vainly to run to its home port of East Boston. It sank and crash-landed on top of an underwater mountain just north of Thatcher Island. The wreck is reached in only 40 feet of water. The ocean around the seamount is 85 feet deep. It was an amazing happening. To crash land upright on this isolated pinnacle of granite, the Chelsea was the first wreck I dived on. We would row from shore. The location was easy to find because for several months following the sinking, there was a steady yet diminishing stream of oil globules rising to the surface. Over time, storms and hurricanes have rocked the wreck side to side down on itself, so that today it is greatly flattened out. My first piece of a wreck was a deck hatch that I worried from the Chelsea. I spent nearly an entire tank, a steel 70, wrestling it from its latchings, only to discover that I couldn't get back to the surface with it in my arms. So I ditched my weight belt, left it clumped at the anchor line, and ascended triumphantly. Over the ensuing years, this hatch of mine was drafted by a friend to be on permanent loan to him. Pieces of it reside at United Divers Scuba Shop in Somerville. Nowadays, we find the Chelsea by using global positioning. The women use the device to zero in on our last successful search. We tie off to the permanent buoy anchored to the bow of the wreck. The Chelsea has been down for almost as long as I have been scuba diving. We are both wearing out, hopefully, at an acceptable rate. Life aboard Easy Diver is quite relaxed. Most of the people who dive with us have been doing it for a long time. They are amongst the most capable divers you'll meet. Most of them do not wear a lot of dangerous junk. The crew pays immediate attention to everyone's needs. We can get you into the water easy and out of the water easy. Scuba is not a spectator sport. In order to see people doing it, you need to be able to do it yourself. Or you need ready access to the successful results of photographers. To be a recorder of the submarine world is a noble endeavor. Hermit crabs are always house hunting, eyeballing moon snails and looking for vacancies. Lovable in his homeliness, this talkative lumpfish is offering a friendly warning to the hermit crab. "Hey, Blue Eyes," he's saying, "there's scubas around here," he warns. "You better be careful. You better watch it. You better pull your head in. Told you so, didn't I?" You can almost read his lips, can't you? Last season, operating only on weekends, our divers landed over 400 lobsters. At the supermarket going rate of $12 per pound, And with 400 legal-sized lobsters weighing in at 500 pounds, our weekend catch amounted to $6,000 worth. Nearly everyone who wants one gets one to take home. I have never eaten one. There are too many legs. People must be legally licensed to catch lobsters. Lobsters must never be speared. Lobsters must be of the correct length. They need to have no special markings on them. They need to be free of eggs. Well disguised because it hardly moves, a decorator crab is spread-eagled across this kelp branch. Each leg has a hole to grasp. You would wonder how it could make its way up a spindly stalk to such a precarious perch. And what would it eat when it got there? The hold fast of a kelp branch keeps it rooted firmly. You would wonder how long it takes to grow such a fist. A garden of golden kelp, literally a sea of it, is the most rewarding of submarine panoramas. Easy Diver prowls the coast looking for good water, what the crew calls flat water. Our ingredients to that end are an offshore breeze, a land mass we can be in the lee of, and no bouncing waves coming in from the open ocean. While we can't guarantee great visibility all the time, we do offer helpful advanced scuba techniques on days when conditions don't cooperate. When it's bad and we don't leave the harbor, the trip is free. We can usually succeed in giving everyone some useful tips to make their diving more enjoyable. It usually involves simplifying their scuba rigs, stripping away unnecessary weights, belts, hooks, clips, and other junk. One way to observe interesting animal behavior is to set yourself down in one place, stay put, and look around. This shot of these two working crabs plowing their holes in tandem is one of the most unusual things we've ever encountered. Chris made this shot. Are they building a duplex crab nest? Are they aware of each other? Is it a race? We elbowed down to catch this action and recorded this most unusual happening. The U.S. frigate New Hampshire was a ship-of-the-line gunboat. It was built during a span of 40-plus years, beginning in 1816 or so, then mothballed for 30-plus years. At the outbreak of the Civil War, the ship was rushed to completion. It was a wooden ship not unlike the Constitution, but not as big. Its reinforcing rods, pins, spikes, nails, and sheathing were fabricated in Paul Revere's foundry. In 1922, after serving its commissions, the vessel was undertowed to Maine to be salvaged, to have its copper rescued while the rest of the ship would be destroyed. Off the Salem coast, it caught fire, parted its tow, and drifted onto the rocky buttress of Graves Island. It hung up there long enough to give the children of Manchester a wonderful backdrop upon which to play Captain Kidd and Peter Pan. Eventually, it slid into the water and settled into the sand in 20 feet. From a picturesque standpoint, nothing can compare to the ribs of a sunken ship sticking up from the ocean floor. The main piece of wreckage is readily reached from the furthest end of Graves Island. A long swim from private property, and better done by boat. Although claimed by anemones, seaweed, and other growth, the ribs are the unmistakable iconic symbol of the U.S. frigate New Hampshire. The best artifact hunting is done after a major storm. The surge will have moved mountains of sand around, unearthing previously hidden parts of the wreck. Here is the Paul Revere spike destined for Jerry Shine's award, being reclaimed from the sand by Diane Kelleher. On an annual basis, the Underwater Club of Boston presents its Paul Revere Spike Award to deserving underwater adventurers. When it comes to describing exactly where they found their most recent treasure, you'd be amazed at where spikers will point. On the subject, you can't believe a word he says. Wherever a spiker points, you can be dead sure there won't be a spike to be found for miles. Cleaning up the treasure gets done on the trip back. As part of our bicentennial celebration in 1976, the instructors and dive masters of New England had the wreck's location listed as a National Historic Site. It's the site that's listed, not the wreck. Artifacts can be searched for and kept. We did it that way on purpose. Hunting for trinkets and treasure around the U.S. frigate New Hampshire is a pleasant pastime.